All right, we'd like to call this meeting for June 18th for the special board meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Ballard.
Here.
Ms. Nazario. Here. Ms. Johnson. Mr. Sturgill.
Here.
Mr. Williams.
Here.
Pledge of allegiance, please. Dan? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Recognition of visitors, seeing none. First hearing of the public. Do we have anything from the public? Please take the podium.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
First, I would just like to give a shout out to everyone for making it through this year. What a year it's been, and a congratulations to all of our graduates. I have a couple questions. I'm not sure if you guys are ready for them. Has there been any news for the new dress code policy? I know it's time parents and families are getting ready to do a little bit of shopping and getting ready for the school year. So do we have any updates for that yet?
Can I respond?
Yes, please.
Excuse me. Actually, we were hoping to get something out for this agenda. It's still in the rough draft form, but something should go out later today in terms of conceptually speaking what it looks like.
Okay.
Yeah. And I do appreciate the fact that folks need to do some back-to-school shopping, and that starts right about now. So we'll get something out in communication form soon.
Okay, thank you. And then digital option learning for next year. Are we anywhere close to making a decision on if that will be an opportunity or what that will look like?
Yeah, as of right now, there's not going to be any remote learning option for next year other than what we've currently had in the past, which is through our Success Academy.
Okay.
Yeah, there was no way for us to pull it off and do it the right way. There are some improvements that we need to make. We knew that the remote learning process that we followed throughout the last school year was good for the circumstance, but there are a lot of things we can do to improve it, excuse me, and we're not quite there yet. So until we can do it exceptionally, we're going to pump the brakes on that.
Okay. And then I know, like through, It Takes a Village, a couple of parents have asked, and educators as well, about health class being offered at middle school. I guess it's not being offered at middle school?
There are a number of things that we're looking at doing with curriculum for the middle school piece. And yeah, health class is something that needs to be offered and hasn't been historically. Again, in order to implement that the right way, we're looking at doing some things candidly for the following school year. And we're looking at doing, I guess to kind of expand a little bit on thoughts that we're putting together, offering more high school classes in 8th grade. And health is one of the classes that we're looking at offering. Health, phys ed, a foreign language, math is already an opportunity. So we're looking at expanding opportunities in 8th grade for high school credit, which will allow our students who are more aggressive to take more upper level courses when they get to high school because they would have taken some classes and gotten them out of the way sooner. And for students who struggle, it gives them more opportunities to get the supports they need. So for the following school year, we'll have more things in place.
Good segue into, I know that repeater classes have always sort of been an issue here at the high school. We usually seem to typically offer them early in the morning. Will that sort of continue? It seems like that's sort of been an option. A lot of the students that need to take the repeater classes have an issue for whatever reason. Maybe it's they have to help get the little brother or sister off to school. Maybe transportation is the issue. Maybe it's they don't like getting up early in the morning, whatever it is. But it seems to be that a lot of those students can't make it here early in the morning, and we seem to offer those classes early in the morning, and they seem to repeat the courses.
I just wrote that down as a note. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
But I will look into it and get back with you.
Thank
And
you.
respond back at the next board meeting to everybody else.
Last question. There's a question about the high school. Last year we started a little later due probably to the digital learning. And some kids and parents are wondering, families are wondering, are we going to continue to start around 8 o'clock, or is it going to go back to the 7:15, 25, whatever it is?
Yeah, we are going back to whatever the time was before, but I can't speak to what that is off the top of my head.
All
Yeah.
right, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
As a follow-up to the remote learning question, because I've gotten several calls on that with parents really wanting to know if they'd had that option, because some of them are still not quite comfortable this year. Is that on our agenda at a high level, or is it just something that we'll pick up?
It's not, based on what I think I know, it's not something that we could put together for this upcoming school year. We're treating next school year as a normal school year.
Okay.
And based on the information from the CDC, our local health commissioner, and the expert team we put together, actually, the flu is a bigger concern than COVID for moving forward.
Right, and I'm not just
Yeah.
saying, not just the COVID piece, because and I read up on a lot of the things that Youngstown's doing. I know they've added an entire digital academy this year, remote learning academy. So I know there's a concern in the community, and they would like that option. So
We're on it, but I'm not sure we can pull it off the right way
no, that's
in
fair
2
enough.
months.
Yeah, I was very clear. It's not going to happen this year, but it'll stay on our agenda.
Yes.
Anyone else from the community? Hearing of the public? Nothing? Nothing? Okay. Moving on to number 6, approval of the minutes from the June 8th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Sturgill.
Yes.
Ms. Nazario. Yes. Mr. Ballard.
Yes.
And Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Outstanding. Old business. Is there any old business to cover today? No one having any? Report and recommendations of our treasurer.
Nothing at this time.
Outstanding. Report and recommendations of our CEO.
Thanks, Mr. President. And actually, there's 2 items on the agenda, and each, I'm sorry, I'm not sure I'm chords there. And each has a little story behind it, so I want to make sure that I capture this correctly. Excuse me. First of all, I'd like to recommend Dr. Sturgill to return to the district. He spent all but 4 years of his career in the Lorain City Schools, and what he's done in the meantime, he's been at Sandusky, and he is the director of operations, or whatever the title is of the equivalent in Sandusky, and he did an incredible amount of work in terms of wraparound supports, wraparound services for the students and families of Sandusky. And those are 2 priorities in our school district right now. Right now, we have an interim director of operations, Mary Mays, who's on the screen there, who's done an outstanding job, but she's a retiree hire. She walks in the door behind me, I think. She's done an outstanding job of looking at and saving the district an incredible amount of money, but she's a retiree hire, and she was kind enough to give us 1 more year. With the wraparound service piece, that's a big focus for our district based on need, and the ESSER funds make that possible. And what I see is there being an incredibly heavy lift for a couple of years. But speaking with our relationship with Mercy Health, we brought in the Mercy Health clinics, I guess, about 5 years ago now. There was an incredible amount of work to get it started, but once it got started, it kind of operates on its own. We need to monitor and maintain, but the heavy lift was creating the partnership and the logistics behind that. We have a list of about 8 or 10 different wraparound services we want to bring to our students and our families. So again, that's a heavy lift for each one of those. But eventually the heavy lift expires. So the position I'm recommending Dr. Sturgill for is, for the next year or so, is to do the heavy lift and help out with the heavy lift of the wraparound services piece, and also understanding it caught up with the operations issues specific to Lorain City Schools, then slide into that position once we're ready for that. Again, once that heavy lift is over. I know there have been rumors that this is replacing people that we have in our district. That's not accurate. This is a temporary position that will, again, provide supports that I think we desperately need, and again, will be covered through ESSER funds. The second position is a behavioral specialist, and that's a person with a level of expertise in student behavior. This person has worked for an alternative school in the Cleveland area and actually provides supports for all of Northeast Ohio, and has worked with the Lorain City Schools now for many, many, many years in terms of providing supports as a consultant in the area of student behavior. So a majority of the salary for this position is coming from the money that we once spent on consulting fees. But why this position is incredibly important for us is currently we only offer a program for our students with autism up until 5th grade. Then we stop an autism-specific program, and that's not okay. We need to have a very comprehensive and robust program for our students with autism, and we will. So we're going to build that program, and this is a critical component for that. So I'd like the board to consider for approval items 9.01 and 9.02 in personnel matters.
Can we separate those out, please?
I'm sorry, yes. I'd like to recommend the board to consider for approval item 9.01 in personnel matters.
Motion to approve?
Support.
Roll call?
Ms. Nazario?
Yes.
Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Abstain?
I'd like the board to consider for approval item 9.02 in personnel matters.
Motion to approve.
Support?
Roll call?
Ms. Nazario?
Yes.
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
And that's all I have for you.
Thank you. I have no committee reports from any board members. Anything else from the board? Our next hearing from the public. Is there a second hearing from the public from anyone?
I'd like to congratulate Steve, but also Dr. Graham. Is he going to be able to work with us at the food pantry since, you know, one of my goals for the food pantry was to be able to get to these people with the wraparound services, because every time we have a food pantry, there's so many people out there that it is in need. And so far, Second Harvest has been helping us.
Yeah, and as we talked about at lunch the other day, I think there are incredible needs we've all identified. Our focus is going to be on our students and our families, but we also understand that there's a community component to that that will be, and I think food service is one of the things we've talked about many times about
Right.
expanding. And Aramark has also been very supportive of being a part of that charge as well.
Very
Mhm.
supportive of the food pantry. Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Is there anything else from the public? Hearing none. I know we've got to schedule our next meeting is for what, June 28th?
28th.
June the 28th, Monday. That is the joint meeting with the ADC. And if there's nothing further, I know we have to go into an executive session today. There's not going to be any action coming out of that executive session. Hearing nothing else, can I have a motion to go into executive session, please?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Sturgill?
Yes.
Ms. Nazario?
Yes.
Mr. Ballard?
Yes.
And Mr. Williams?
Yes.
Thank you. We will
And
be-
if I could jump in real quick, the purpose for executive session is personnel and negotiations.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. A2. Thank you all. There will be nothing when we come out.